Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Oops, microphone. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Well, I go a lot of places, I travel. I haven't been out of the house or away from the property for like a week. I don't even know if the car still runs. It might not start. But I go places, I go a lot of places. And one place I've been going recently, I just visited. I don't stay long, I just visit. Is the mindset of the serial killer. That's where I was visiting the other day. In like every possible range of emotion is there in Krishna eternally. So the mindset of the serial killer is there. It's one of the extremes, but it's there. It's not going to go away. Someone will be absorbed in that mood. And in the material world, they'll act on it and think they're doing the right thing. So I was thinking about that. I have a lot of different emotions. But I can visit them. I don't have to go there. I don't have to do anything. I can just visit. So the mindset is that someone had become emotionally attached to another person and dependent on them emotionally, and the other person didn't reciprocate very nicely. They may or may not have been able to in and of themselves. They may have been not able to. They didn't have much empathy, or they didn't appreciate the other person. The other person was helplessly attached to them. Maybe a parent, or maybe an intimate personal relationship, a conjugal mood relationship. Don't know. But that emotional attachment was there, and it caused that person a lot of pain. a lot of confusion and pain. It stirred all things up. Now, spiritually, that's very desirable because it's a very intense experience, and that intensity brings us closer to love of God. But on the material plane, it's very confusing, and there's like perverted reflection. The highest things in the spiritual world, when they're reflected into the illusory energy, become the lowest. So someone with that kind of frustration, anger, and rage burning up inside of them, they're going to want to resolve it, and they can't. If they don't have Krishna, they don't have their awareness of the Lord and the personality of Godhead. They don't have that. All they have is their own misery, and it's because of another person. They externalize it, and they need to resolve it. So they're going to want to destroy the other person, and that will help them. This is their reasoning. That will resolve the issue. But the problem isn't the other person. The problem is the situation, and that situation can never be destroyed because it's dynamic. It's eternally present and will be enacted out from time to time. Is enacted out eternally. Everything, nothing ever ends because Krishna doesn't end. Sometimes things are manifest and sometimes they're not, but it's not like they're ever destroyed. So the person is in the illusory energy. They're thinking to get some relief from this rage that they have. If they just destroy this other person, then they'll get the resolution. It doesn't work like that. So the serial killing is they may not be able to kill the original person. They may have died already, but they're carrying this rage around, and they need to resolve it. They need to destroy that, and they're actually quite considerate in that they're thinking they don't want anybody else to ever suffer like they suffered. It's mostly emotional. They don't want anybody else to experience that. And so by destroying someone who is capable of doing that to someone else, then they're actually doing good for society. They kind of become a vigilante. The serial killer actually has this vigilante mentality. They're actually doing good for society. So it's twisted for sure, but that's what happens without Krishna consciousness. Everything becomes twisted. What seems good is really awful, and what seems awful is on the spiritual platform is really very good. But by not being able to distinguish between reality and the illusory energy, that's the problem. So, this serial killer, they're not able to destroy the original person who caused the problem, the parent or the love partner. So anyone who brings that up in this person, they conclude that this person is dangerous, just like the one that did that to me. So I have to destroy this person also. This is my service, is to eradicate this wherever it appears. So if they see it appearing in a certain person, those feelings are welling up in them and they're having that flashback to what they went through, then they're justified in destroying that other person. And this can go on. It's a serial because you can never destroy those emotions. They have to be purified in relationship to love of God. So you got the serial killer. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. He doesn't, he or she, it's usually a he, but I think there have been some she's. They don't they have no consciousness of what is really going on. But they're externalizing their own emotional experience. And they're really trying to kill Krishna. But you can't kill Krishna. And they just think, that this other person is the source of their problem. So it was interesting visiting that consciousness. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. As I say, I was just visiting. I don't live there. I don't live there. Whoa! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then I was considering how Krishna also kills. If somebody is causing a problem, he kills them. If they're a demon, Krishna kills them. But Krishna's killing is different. When Krishna kills a demon, they're done. That's it. It's over. They don't appear again. They're finished. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. And how is that? Because Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The demon is liberated to a whole nother platform, whole nother level, and so they're not present anymore. Hare Krishna. No, it's not that there won't be other demons. There are. There'll always be, in the material world, there'll always be demons, because that's the place to act it all out, is the illusory energy. That's why the material world is there, and the illusory energy is there, so people can act out. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, with the possibility of reviving their blissful consciousness. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, in relationship to the supreme eternal personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That's why I'm here. I'm just about done with the acting out part. Just about done. Just about cooked. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Kind of a stubborn case. I didn't want to miss anything, before I leave. I wanted to make sure I got it all in. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Now we start to revive our awareness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if the Lord starts to become pleased with us, and we can feel His presence in ourselves and in others, we're not needy anymore. We're always needy. We need Krishna like anything. That's okay. That's not, that's desirable. But we're not needy so much on other people or anything else really outside of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it's possible to do that directly, but the large majority of people will need help to be able to only need Krishna and not be needy on other people. And for that, there's a spiritual master. A bona fide spiritual master is not needy. He doesn't need anyone else. He just is fixed in his loving relationship with Krishna. And so he can free other people from all these entanglements with each other and help people just become attached to Krishna. Becoming attached to such a spiritual master is not different from becoming attached to Krishna, because he's not needy. Hare Krishna. He only gives. He doesn't take. He only gives. He doesn't make demands. He's as good as Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That's why I take shelter of Srila Gaurahari Das. As kooky as he looks to most people, he's Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because, you know, if you really read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you'll see there was a lot of kooky stuff going on. Hare Krishna, Hare, in relationship to Mahaprabhu, who looked pretty kooky. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare, kooky by what standard, though? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare by the standard of the illusory energy, trying to maintain some kind of image of something or other. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then living your whole life around this projected image that everyone should see you in that way. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Well, now, I was thinking about that too, you know. It's not like I don't need anybody. I mean, we all work together, you know. I mean, I may have a tooth problem and have to go to a dentist, so I'm going to need a dentist. But it's an arrangement by Krishna, you know. I pay the dentist a little something and fixes my teeth. So he provides a service like that, you know, and then he has money to do what he has to do. Maybe he has to, he needs a car, you know, or maybe, you know, he has a family and, you know, kids want a swimming pool or something, you know, whatever. So there's this social exchange of money and goods. So everyone has what they need. And of course, you know, in the perfect form, it's the Varnashram Dharma. In a less perfect form, it is what it is, and it just sort of struggles along. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But it's not like we don't need each other, you know. You know, people have, you know, and somebody built this house, and I go to the store and I buy different products that people have supplied. I mean, you know, there's that going on. That's undeniable. You try to keep it to a minimum if, you know, you want to develop your relationship in love with God, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You don't get too entangled in all of that, you know, so that's all there is, you know, is this running around on a hamster wheel producing things. But not needy in the sense that, Prabhupada's my spiritual master. And some devotee, one of the disciples came to him and said that they were feeling some agitation and loneliness, and they thought they wanted a wife. They were too disturbed. They couldn't live this austere, renounced life. They wanted a family, they wanted a house, they wanted a job, they wanted children, they wanted all those things. They just really wanted them. So Prabhupada said, that's no problem. And he was sitting near a window and he pulled the curtain back, and it was a busy city street and there were people walking. And he said, you want a wife? Then there were some women walking by. He said, so you just find one, pick one. But love is for Krishna. Yeah, it's putting it all in perspective, you know. Love is for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's an ocean. Krishna is an ocean of ecstatic bliss and emotions, and he's wanting to taste his own ecstasy in the form of Srimati Radharani. She's also Krishna. She is the reservoir of his love and devotion, and he's wanting to taste that reservoir of love and devotion. So he's appearing as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's diving into that ocean, and he's doing it in such a way as to make it available to everybody else. Hare Krishna, Hare. And that's also part of his desire. He wants to experience it himself, and he wants everyone else to experience it too. Why not? It's so much fun. Come with me. Come on. I'll take you into this ocean of ecstatic love. Yes, that's the program. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh, sheesh, Govinda. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Hare Krishna. What is it? There's saying that some devotees will become expert swimmers in this ocean. They will swim, and they will sport and play in the waters. And some will, not so expert, but they'll somehow float. They're going to float in this ocean. They'll be able to float. And others will drown. They're going to drown in this ocean. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare. Sink like a rock in the ocean. Just drown. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah, they'll try to chant, and all they'll be able to say is glug 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 glug. They'll be drowning in the ocean. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And a big secret is to recognize how fault-finding is the biggest barrier for ecstatic love of Godhead. That's the biggest barrier, is fault-finding. And it is rampant. It is rampant, and it's a horrible disease. And it's the biggest impediment to ecstatic love of Godhead is to find fault. Because there is no fault, there's only Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So ultimately, finding fault means finding fault with Krishna. You find fault with Krishna, it's going to block an ecstatic, loving relationship. Simple as that. Now, it may be unpleasant, and you may start to feel yourself developing the mentality of a killer, wanting to stop this, whatever it is that's emanating from someone that's causing so much distress. And in its really outrageous form, you might develop the mentality of a serial killer. Which is total bewilderment by the material energy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Actually, I prefer to take the mentality or the consciousness of what is said in the sales world, that there's a saying, you learn the most from your toughest customer. That's where I prefer to go. Okay, wow, what can I learn here? Oh my God, I can learn a new depth of crying and despair, confusion. Wow, give it to me. Hare Krishna, and then it's a very purifying experience, and then can actually reach a new level of love and appreciation for who? The personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You know, material science even has their laws of physics that nothing is ever destroyed. Okay? Nothing is ever destroyed, it's simply transformed. Now that's also a spiritual science. Nothing is ever destroyed, but it is transformed. Hare Krishna. Nothing's ever destroyed. Hare Krishna. It's simply transformed. There you go. Material science. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. What fun, you know, to be able to explore these different depths of feelings and emotions. Well, what a great luxury, what a great blessing that, you know, it's like, Hare Krishna, it's wonderful. It's so much fun. But it's blocked if there's fault finding fault. It's the biggest stumbling block for developing ecstatic love for God. And it's not a matter of this kind of, I'm a victim and I forgive you thing. No, because you're still finding fault. You can't do the victim program either. No. You can't become a serial killer and you can't do the victim program. Hare Krishna. Developing that forgiveness is better than out and out fault finding, but it goes way beyond forgiveness. It goes way beyond forgiveness. Because forgiveness implies somebody did something wrong. And on a spiritual platform, there's no right or wrong, there's only Krishna. And Krishna really challenges that because he behaves in very contradictory ways to any kind of moral consideration. He does all kinds of things that are wrong. He steals, he has illicit connections, now this is not material, these are spiritual, has nothing to do with the illusory energy. These are simply dynamics of a personality who happens to be the supreme personality of Godhead. Everything exists in Krishna. And everything is all good. There's no bad in Krishna. It's all good. It just appears bad. But even the bad is good. It's like the old formula, 1 + 1 = 1. And also 1 - 1 = 1. That's spiritual mathematics. It's all good. Even bad is good. 1 + 1 = 1. Hare Krishna. So this finding fault is such a is such a problem for developing actual ecstatic love for the Lord. Hare Krishna. And it's not a matter of not seeing things as they are. I mean, someone may be acting in a very obnoxious way toward a devotee or toward the Lord himself. They may be being very, very disgusting in the way their consciousness is. But it's like Jesus said, the sin, not the sinner. Behavior is not appreciated, but the person behind it is, there's no hate for the person. They're just behaving in a certain way, according to their consciousness, and the consciousness can be rectified in good association. Not just good association, but association of those who are actually cultivating their ecstatic love for the personality of Godhead. Krishna, Radha Krishna, the Godhead, Radha Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Hare Krishna, Hare Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhara, Srivas, Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Yeah, that's why Srila Gaurahari Das has the perfect name. Srila Gaurahari Das. It's a very good name. Hare Krishna. So I was going to try to read a little something here. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, the confidential reason for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna, John, Hare Krishna, Hare Prabhu. Now we're seeing the dark side of me beyond the serial killer. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, like I say, I don't live there. I just visit sometimes. I go a lot of places. You go, I'm all over the place. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Krishna Hare Krishna. And I tell you, love just increases more. Love and appreciation for others increases more and more and more if that fault finding can be recognized when it rears its ugly head and is gone, you know. You don't accept that path. You just appreciate people so much more. And Krishna, how Krishna is within their heart. And although they may be acting in some really noxious ways, they may be really poo-poo, you know, poo-pooing all over the place. And on you. It's like you still, you know, no. You can still appreciate them. You actually start to feel some love for them. You wish you could help, you know, get out and help them get out of that, you know. They start to look a lot like, you know what a kitten looks like with a ball of yarn, you know. They start to look like that, you know. The more they try to get out of their situation, keeping that mindset, that fault-finding mindset, the more entangled they get. And it's like pretty soon they're just like all covered, and they, you know, can't get out of the ball of yarn, you know. But the reason that's happening is because of their own struggle. They're struggling in the wrong way to get free. So it's like, wow, you know, when you see it, you're like, wow, you know. Just be here, and if you see an opening, you know, you can do a little snipping away at the yarn mess. You know, and just you want to do it, you know. But you don't have to get all entangled in their ball of yarn. Yeah, I think that's why it was such an enlightening experience with a snake recently in the garden. When I was living at another house in South Florida, same thing happened. I had, you know, I do a lot of gardening, and I had put some bird netting down. Why did I put the bird? Oh, because the squirrels were digging everything up. So I thought, well, if I put this mesh down, this bird netting mesh, it's plastic with like big loops in it, you know, octagonal loops. And it's really sticky. Birds don't like it. Animals don't like it because they get entangled in it. It sticks to their feathers, whatever. So I thought, well, this will keep the squirrels away and they'll stop digging everything up. So I put it on the ground, not knowing that it would cause a problem for the snakes. So not all snakes are poisonous. Some are just little garden snakes, and they eat bugs, you know, they eat mice. You know, they're doing their service. They're just kind of slithery, you know. I don't have a problem with the non-poisonous ones, you know. So evidently there was a garden snake, a big black garden snake that lived in the area that I didn't know about. And he tried to crawl through the hole in one of the, came up from the ground and tried to crawl through the hole in the mesh. And now a snake, you know, especially if they've just eaten something, their main body is a lot fatter than their head and their neck part. So he got his head and his neck part through the mesh, but the main part of his body got stuck. So there he is, he's caught in this mesh. And it's very fine mesh, so it can cut, you know, like paper can give a paper cut. This mesh can actually cut like a knife, like a razor cut. So he's caught in this thing, and he doesn't know how to get out. And the more he struggles, actually the more he gets entangled in this mesh. And I didn't find him until the next morning. And I felt terrible because I had caused the problem. Unknowing, I didn't know. I felt terrible. How to get him out of that. But I was a little afraid because he's a snake and his head was free. You know, it was just his middle part that was stuck. And I was like, well, if he'll let me, I'll cut him free, but I don't know if he's going to let me. So I tried to get close and he reared up, you know, and they do bite. They're not poisonous, but they bite. And he's a wild animal. I was like, what to do? I tried to snip a little bit. I couldn't get him out of that. And sure enough, I felt terrible. He cut his own body in two, trying to get out. The mesh, the harder he struggled, the more it cut him, and he just cut himself in half. I felt terrible. I'd given that poor little creature that problem. So I saw that. The more he struggled and wouldn't accept help, I could have helped him, but he wouldn't accept it because he had that consciousness of a snake. He would not accept it. If I tried to help him, he'd rather die a snake than accept help because that was his nature. So, Hare Krishna. I chanted, you know, I chanted a lot. He heard Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So who knows? And then I moved here, further north, and again I'm in the garden. And stupid me, why I did this, I had had that experience. Didn't I know that it would cause the same problem for another snake? Why did I do it again? The squirrels were digging everything up. And like a dodo, I completely forgot that experience. And I put down the mesh netting around the plant. What a stupid thing to do. And sure enough, I came out one morning and there was a big black garden snake. It was like a complete repeat performance caught in the mesh. So this time I was determined that it would not happen to him. I was determined. I wasn't going to let it happen. And this snake was a little different. He kind of accepted my help. He'd turn his head the other way and he'd let me snip. And then he'd turn around and then that was enough snipping. He'd put his head up again like a snake. That's enough. I can't take any more of this. I'm a snake. It's my nature. And then he'd calm down and then I'd snip a little more and try to get him out of this mesh. And then he'd rear up again. So I did this for quite a while, but I could not get him out because the mesh had actually gone pretty deep into it. It wasn't cutting him yet, but it was really tight around him. And he would have to let me do it. He wasn't going to let me. So right at that time, a devotee came over. You know, they had something important to tell me or something, you know. They liked to talk. They'd come over and they'd, you know, keep me for like hours talking about themselves. So I would listen, you know, Hare Krishna. And then we'd turn a video on of Srila Gaurahari and he'd watch for a couple of minutes. But I'd listen to hours of him talking about himself. So anyway, how great he was. Anyway, he was great in certain ways, but not as great as he thought. He's probably greater, you know, he's probably limiting himself by who he thinks he is in his greatness. But anyway, so he came and he took like a stick with a branch on it, you know, like a fork, and he pinned the snake's head down. And then the snake couldn't move, couldn't rear up, and he was able to cut him free. Yeah, he was free. And I was like, yeah, you know, It's like that. That snake needed help to get free. And then he was free, he stopped and he looked at us. You know? Now there's a story about the man who, you know, saved the snake, and then the snake turned around and bit him, and the man said, well, why did you bite me? And the snake said, well, I'm a snake after all. So I don't know, was he going to do that? But no, he didn't. He just scurried off into the bushes. So there's that kind of thing too, you know. There was a lot of lessons to be learned from the snakes and the mesh. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Sometimes our dealings with other people are like that. Even other devotees who tend to have a lot of poisonous stuff in them, fault finding, and they won't accept any help from anyone. Very defensive like that. Become snake-like. They say there are a lot of snakes on Govardhan Hill. So, yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, okay. I don't know how I got off on that, the snakes, but this is text 159, Chaitanya Charitamrita, confidential reason for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. And Krishnadas Kaviraj is very, very old. He can hardly see. He's writing this, he says his hand is shaking as he's writing. And it's not like they had, you know, keyboards and desktops and stuff. I mean, he's sitting there in a quiet place in Vrindavan, writing this on palm leaves with pen and ink, dipping the ink in on a palm leaf. You know, he's very old. I believe he's in his 90s. I don't know. He could hardly see. It's amazing, amazing work here. Krishna working, or Chaitanya working through Krishnadas Kaviraj. Amazing, amazing, these acharyas. Gorkashore Das Babaji, another amazing acharya. So text 159, and he's just described two aspects of the Lord's desire to taste himself in different ways. And so now he's going to describe, he says, this is a description of his second desire. He just finished describing that. Was the Lord wanted to taste his own sweetness. Now please listen as I describe the third. See, this is what Srila Prabhupada is giving us. These are the ultimate destination is to relish these this atmosphere, this loving devotionals, this ocean of ecstasy. This is the free from any material considerations. This is actual, the Prabhupada is the greatest gift Prabhupada is giving, and the disciplic succession. So text 160. This conclusion of Ras is extremely deep. Only Swarup Damodar knows much about it. We learned earlier that Swarup Damodar is an incarnation of either Vishaka or Lalita. In other words, one of Radha's most intimate confidants. Swarup Damodar has incarnated, they have incarnated to help the Lord in his mood of wanting to experience what Radharani experiences. She sent them. Text 161. Anyone else who claims to know it must have heard it from him. For he was the most intimate companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. See, that's how we hear. We have to hear from an intimate devotee. Okay? Anyone else who claims to know it, this third reason, this third aspect of Ras, must have heard it from an intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya, the most intimate companion, Swarup Damodar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Anyone else who claims to have heard it must have heard it from Swarup Damodar, must have heard it from this incarnation of Lalita or Vishaka. 162. The love of the gopis is called Rudabhav. It is pure and spotless. It is not at any time lust. Now actually, I remember now, I read this whole section before. And then, like, I haven't read for a while, and I was thinking, I need to read it again because it was extremely purifying the first time. Extremely purifying. I mean, to the nth degree. So, at that time, I decided I want to read it again before I continue on in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that's what I'm doing, I'm reading it again. The difference between love and lust is extremely purifying. Hare Krishna, Hare, hearing about the difference between love and lust. It's like, ah! All right. So, the love of the gopis is called Rudabhav. It is pure and spotless. It is not at any time lust. It is pure and spotless. It is not at any time lust. The love of the gopis is called Rudabhav. It is not at any time lust. It is pure and spotless. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. This is where last time Freddie asked, does Krishna have genitals? I was like, what? Well, just think about this. Krishna is the source of everything and everyone. So he would have to be the source of everyone and everything. So does he have genitals? Hare Krishna. He's the source of everyone's genitals, my friend. But this verse says, he is pure and spotless, and there is no material lust at any time. So wrap your mind around that one. Woo! Hare Krishna. Prabhupada's purport. Woo! As already explained, the position of the gopis in their loving dealings with Krishna is transcendental. Their emotion is called Rudabhav. Although it is apparent, see, this is the secret. Emotion is the secret. Emotion. Emotion, like the serial killer having problems with all these emotions, when it's channeled down into the illusory energy, becomes a killer. And that same emotion, when it is in relationship to the personality of Godhead, becomes an ecstatic, transcendental experience. Krishna. So, as already explained, the position of the gopis in their loving dealings with Krishna is transcendental. Their emotion is called Rudabhav, although it is apparently like mundane sex. One should not confuse it with mundane sexual love, for it is pure and unadulterated love of Godhead. If someone can even get a small taste of this, they realize that this is the absolute truth. And this is the path back to Godhead. They realize that. You get just the slightest taste, Hare Krishna, of the truth of this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's why the association of someone who is tasting these things is so valuable. By hearing from them, we get to taste the remnants of what they're tasting. Shukadev Goswami was like that. That's why he's called Shukadev. Shuka means parrot. And the thing about a parrot is the parrot pokes his beak into a fruit, like a mango. There's some enzyme in his mouth because he tasted the fruit the fruit immediately sweetens and ripens. So it's like that, you know, the pure devotee who's relishing and tasting these truths, tasting this transcendental experiences in love of Godhead. The sweetness is there for everyone else because they're tasting, just like the parrot Shukadeva. So that's why Krishnadas Kaviraj's work here is so wonderful, because he's relishing all of this, he's tasting it. This is his ecstasies. And Prabhupada is translating it and writing purports, and he's also tasting. And then we're reading and discussing, and we're also tasting. This is the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. This is how the disciplic succession actually works. Hare Krishna. This is the actual line of devotional service. Is tasting and relishing and passing it on. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare, but can only be done by someone who is tasting and relishing. That's the way it works. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Even Lord Chaitanya knew that. That's why he appeared himself, personally, to taste and relish. Duh. Hello? Ooh. Make any sense? Ooh. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, this fault finding is the greatest impediment to being able to taste and relish these things. It's the greatest impediment. It turns somebody into a serial killer. Because they're not able to resolve the emotions that are conflicting within them. And they need to, so they think to resolve it means to attack what they think is the source, which is ultimately Krishna. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, text 163. The pure love of the gopis has become celebrated by the name lust. The dear devotees of the Lord, headed by Sri Uddhava, desire to taste that love. Yeah, Uddhava is a resident of Dwarka, where the Lord is worshipped in awe and reverence, and they never lose sight of the fact that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's always treated with great pomp, and he's a king, a prince, a king, and he's the head of the armies, he's the king, he's like that. And Uddhava's there in that consciousness, that environment where the Lord is approached like that. The temples are like that to a large degree. And Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everyone is his servant, and it's like a kingdom. There's a hierarchy, who's in charge of this, who's in charge of that. And then, you know, the different servants, you know, the head of this department, the head of that department. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And according to a person's quality of work, they fit within the type of varnashram structure. So the temple situations are something like the Dwarka, where Krishna is actually a Vishnu form, to do that kind of work. And he says, if I didn't do work, the whole world would be put to ruination. So if Krishna feels obligated to do that, you know, I didn't want the whole world to go to ruination, so he does that kind of work where he's the Vishnu form. And Uddhava lives there. But within his heart, he desires to know Krishna the way the gopis know Krishna. He's not fully satisfied with the Dwarka scene. And Krishna knows that, as described in the 10th canto. And Krishna is also feeling separation from the gopis and all the residents of Vrindavan, Madhya Yasoda, the cowherd boys, the cows, everything. He's feeling separation from that whole environment where he was free to engage in loving pastimes in a very spontaneous, youthful, irresponsible way. Hare Krishna. So he sends Uddhava with a message for the residents of Vrindavan so that he can console them and tell them how much they are his heart. But that he's called away, he has something he has to do, there's some work he has to do. So that's what it is. And he promises, as soon as his work is finished here, he'll come back. Of course, he never really leaves, but Uddhava goes with the message, and he's able to get the mercy to stay in Vrindavan for some time and absorb himself in the mood of the residents there, to know Krishna in that way, being a messenger of Krishna. So the pure love of the gopis has become celebrated by the name lust. The dear devotees of the Lord, headed by Uddhava, desire to taste that love. Oh, Krishna, 164. Lust and love have different characteristics, just as iron and gold have different natures. Iron and gold have different natures. Iron and gold have different... Well, for one thing, iron rusts. I mean, iron deteriorates, Gold, it does not rust. It hardly even tarnishes. Gold really doesn't even tarnish. Gold is very, very stable. Not many things affect gold. Gold is very, very stable. And it's very pure in that sense. It has its value because of its incredible stability. And it's attractive. It's like a shiny, gold-colored metal. You make jewelry from gold, but it's very, very stable. Whereas iron, it rusts, it tarnishes, it deteriorates, it gives off bad smells and tastes as it's deteriorating, and it can disappear. If it hangs around long enough, iron will simply deteriorate into dust. There's nothing there. So it's not stable. It doesn't last. So lust and love have different characteristics. Now, iron can be very strong, okay? There's no doubt about that. It can make a structure from iron, but it won't last. Right? So the characteristic of iron is that it doesn't last, it deteriorates. So to make a relationship based on lust, it'll be very strong at first, but it will deteriorate. And eventually, they'll just be dust. Another characteristic of iron is it can be influenced by a magnet. In other words, iron can be pulled by a magnet. It can be pulled away. Whereas gold is not influenced by anything like that. Gold is not, you have a piece of iron and a piece of gold. The gold, you put a magnet near it, no effect. Gold is stable. This is the biggest thing about gold. That's why they use it as a medium of exchange to buy and barter, because it is stable. So the world's having a problem with that right now because they're using for currency and barter exchange something that is totally volatile and can be manipulated in all sorts of ways. And so a lot of cheaters and rascals, instead of simply having something stable to barter with in exchange for real goods and services, they're playing with the instability of the currencies, which have no value at all and are totally unstable. So it's causing a big problem, a lot of theft and fraud. And the real services of the world, it's hard for the people to just do them, because their medium of exchange is unstable. So that's why gold and silver have been preferred, silver also is very stable, have been the preferred mediums of exchange for a very, 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 very long time. That's their value, is that they're stable. Hare Krishna, Hare. And they're not influenced. Like this iron, this piece of iron, you put a magnet near it, it can drag it here, drag it there. And the iron can even be magnetized itself, so then it starts to attract other things. So it's not a very stable substance, iron, lust. It can be manipulated in many different ways, and it deteriorates. So these are the different characteristics. So love and lust have different characteristics. Gold is stable, solid, does not deteriorate. And lust is easily manipulated and crumbles after some time. That's like that verse in Gita about the mode of passion. What appears to be very pleasurable in the beginning, but is the mode of passion, turns into poison in the end. So gold, iron is like that, it has that quality. Appears to be stable at first, but then it starts to deteriorate, and it becomes influenced by so many things. And you can't build on it. You can't build anything on it. You can't rely on it. It's unstable. Text 165. The desire to gratify one's own senses is kama, lust. The desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prema, love. Okay, so that's the very next verse. The lust has all these iron qualities. It's unstable, it deteriorates. That's trying to satisfy material senses. Hare Krishna. Without considering Krishna. The desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prema, love. That's like the gold. It's not that Krishna doesn't have senses. He does. He's the source of everyone's senses. And the real satisfaction comes, just like water in the root of a tree. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Pour the water on the root, the whole tree flourishes. To go around putting drops of water on all the leaves and branches, sometimes that can be a little helpful. Poor tree is dehydrated, but it doesn't really work the same way as when the water is drawn up through the root and distributed throughout the entire form. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's the pure love, prema. Prabhupada's purport's got a couple paragraphs here. Okay, the verse again, to desire to gratify one's own senses is kama, lust. Okay, so it's interesting here that the sentence is, to desire to gratify one's own senses is lust. It's kind of like the Christian teaching that the root of all evil, money, the root of all evil, but that's not the verse, that's not the teaching. It's love of money is the root of all evil. It's not the money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. That love being put before love of God instead of love of God, taking the place of love of God. And the money becomes an idol. So the same way, the desire to gratify one's own senses. It's not that sense gratification is not allowed. It is. But the desire, just like love of money, when you put that desire before the desire to serve Krishna, to love Krishna, then that is a problem. It doesn't say gratifying one's own senses is lust. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It's like prasadam. food offered to the Lord, okay, and you're practicing under rules and regulations, the food is offered to the Lord, okay, put on a plate, prepared as an offering for Krishna to enjoy with his senses, which he does if the offering is accepted, by glancing at it, because he says it's love and devotion. And glancing at it, he enjoys it, okay, he can do that. And then the devotees take the prasadam, and it can be quite sense gratifying. I mean, you know, kafka balls and tomato sauce, garanga potatoes, burfi, sandesh, laddu, sweet rice, puris with white sugar on top. I mean, come on. That's not a very austere diet. Everything cooked in ghee, with all kinds of spices. I mean, man, I'm just thinking about it. My mouth is watering. And I can't even eat those things anymore. Old body can't digest a lot of stuff. So that's sense gratification, but how does that work? Krishna's pleasure. Krishna was enjoying, right? So it's not the sense gratification is the problem. The problem is desiring the sense gratification more than desiring Krishna's pleasure. That's the problem. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Interesting stuff, huh? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. It's a fine line. It's a very fine line. Hare Krishna. Rupa Goswami says, accept everything favorable for Krishna consciousness, reject everything favorable. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Those are basically the regulative principles. In Raganuga Bhakti, devotee is not beating themselves up over following anything except those guidelines. Now, that has to be done under the guidance of someone who is stable in this path, someone who is gold, okay? You can't hang on to some iron and think it's going to work, because it won't. You find yourself in trouble. But if you have the association of real gold, which means they're stable, they're not influenced by anything other than Krishna, they're stable in their love of Godhead, then it'll work. And you hear from them, take guidance from them, and begin to relish what they're relishing, then the path of Raganuga will work. Otherwise, it's not possible, because that's not the path. That's not how it works. It's just acting whimsically. Hare Krishna, that's not a good idea. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Text 166. The object of lust is only the enjoyment of one's own senses. But love caters to the enjoyment of Lord Krishna, and thus it is very powerful. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The enjoyment of Lord Krishna, and it is very powerful. It's going to take something very powerful to get us out of here. To get us out of all this mess that everybody's in with their mental speculation. That's the big problem, really, is the mental speculation. Krishna, that's the problem, big problem. Fault finding and the mental speculation is just awful. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. 167. Social customs, scriptural injunctions, bodily demands, fruit of action, shyness, patience, bodily pleasures, self-gratification, and the path of varnashram dharma, which is difficult to give up. The gopis have forsaken all of these, as well as their own relatives and their punishment and scolding for the sake of serving Lord Krishna. They render loving service to him for the sake of his enjoyment. So that's the goal. That's the goal. What have they given up? Social customs, scriptural injunctions, bodily demands, fruit of action, shyness, patience, bodily pleasures, self-gratification, and the path of Varnashram Dharma, which is very difficult to give up. The gopis have forsaken all of these, as well as their own relatives and their punishment and scolding, for the sake of serving Lord Krishna. They render loving service to him for the sake of his enjoyment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Well, you say, wow, that's really selfless service. No, it isn't selfless service, because engaging in that way, the gopis simultaneously experience the loving ecstasies in the relationship with Krishna that Krishna experiences. And Krishna says they experience even more, 10 million times more. That's why he wants to appear as the chief gopi. He wants to know what they're experiencing. So it's not selfless. Selfless is like the Mayavadi impersonal thing. Selfless. No, it's not selfless. Hare Krishna. It's self-realized. There's a difference. Hare Krishna. And they realize the self in relationship to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And you are serving Lord Krishna's pleasure. Ooh, Krishna. 170. This is called firm attachment to Lord Krishna. It is spotlessly pure, like a clean cloth that has no stain. Wow. Nice. Firm attachment to Lord Krishna. It is spotlessly pure, like a clean cloth that has no stain. Prabhupada's purport. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita advises everyone to give up all engagements of sense gratification and, like the gopis, dovetail oneself entirely with the will of the Supreme Lord. This is the ultimate instruction of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. We should be prepared to do anything and everything to please the Lord, even at the risk of violating the Vedic principles or ethical laws. That is the standard of love of Godhead. Such activities in pure love of Godhead are as spotless as white linen that has been completely washed. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur warns us in this connection that we should not mistakenly think that the idea of giving up everything implies the renunciation of duties necessary in relation to the body and mind. Even such duties are not sense gratification if they are undertaken in the spirit of service to Krishna. Yeah, that's renunciation, like throw the baby out with the bathwater. No, the real renunciation is everything for the service of Krishna. And on the highest platform, that service of Krishna is in the mood of the gopis. So it's like that, we're reading that, like in the Christian, that when they say, The love of money is the root of all evil, not the money. So the sense, the desire for sense gratification is the root of the problem, not the sense gratification, because that'll come automatically. In relationship to Krishna, the sense gratification comes. Just like taking the food offered to Krishna. It's a way to try and understand it. That's on the external platform, but it's a way to understand. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's a pretty powerful purport coming from Srila Prabhupada, who was establishing the Vaidhi Bhakti, which is all rules and regulations and all ethical laws and Vedic principles in here. See, in Krishna consciousness there are a lot of contradictions. Arjuna was caught in a contradiction. That's the whole Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna's was caught in a contradiction, like a catch-22. On the one hand, he had his duties to perform, but on the other hand, those duties involved killing everyone, all his relatives, his teachers, and everything. So he was caught. He wanted to do the renunciation thing, just go off into the forest and eat berries. Actually, he was very familiar with forest life because he and his brothers were raised there. So it wasn't like, he knew what forest life was. They'd lived there for years in exile. So it's not like it was some foreign thing. He was just saying, oh, why don't I just go back to the forest and forget this whole thing, Who wants the kingdom? We were happy in the forest. We were together. Let's go back to the forest. That was Arjuna's plan. But no, the real renunciation was to go ahead and fight. Because why? That was what Krishna wanted. So the duties are not sense gratification if they're undertaken in the spirit of service to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The money is not contaminated if it's in service of Krishna. It's the love of money that's the problem. Putting the love of money before Krishna, which is where the pride and the lust and all that stuff starts to enter in. Mine. Look how much I have. Wow, That's where the problem comes in. Not the money itself. And the sense gratification. Oh, see how I'm enjoying. Wow, I'm the enjoyer. That's the problem. Not the sense gratification. That's going to come anyway in relationship to Krishna. Text 171. Therefore, lust and love are quite different. Lust is like dense darkness, but love is like the bright sun. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Lust is like dense darkness, turning away from Krishna into the darkness. But love is like the bright sun, turning toward the source. Supreme Personality of Godhead. 172. Thus, there is not the slightest taint of lust in the gopis' love. They're always turned toward that bright Personality of Godhead. That's who they love. They love that Personality of Godhead, especially in his form as Krishna. Yeah. Their relationship with Krishna is only for the sake of his enjoyment. Yeah, the gopis are actually expanded from Srimati Radharani for Krishna's pleasure. She's the original expansion. We read about that earlier. She's the original expansion. She embodies all his pleasure potency. She embodies all his loving energies. She is that loving environment herself. And in order to accommodate the Lord, she expands as the gopis. And they're also for Krishna's pleasure. So what happens with the conditioned souls is they don't become gopis, but they but we can enter into loving service in the mood of the gopis. It's like you don't become Nanda Maharaj, you don't become Radharani, you don't become Vishaka, you don't become, they already exist. I'm sorry to say, you are not one of them. You are not them. They already exist, just like you don't become A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. He exists. He's already. But you can become like them in their mood of service to the Lord. You can become like them. Hare Krishna. You can develop their mood of service. So that's what this is about. You don't become one of the gopis, but you can develop a loving mood of service like the gopis, and Krishna will accept that. He wants that. Thus there is not the slightest taint of lust in the gopis' love. Their relationship with Krishna is only for the sake of his enjoyment. Hare Krishna. 173. Now this is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. When Krishna left in the midst of the Rasa Leela, he says, "O dearly beloved," this was spoken by the gopis when Krishna left. "O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breasts, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path." Hare Krishna. You read again. Gopis. "O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breasts, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path." Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No wonder why Krishna loves the gopis, huh? Oh my goodness. Why wouldn't he love the gopis? Text 174. Okay, the gopis do not care for their own pleasures or pains. All their physical and mental activities are directed toward offering enjoyment to Lord Krishna. The gopis do not care for their own pleasures or pains. All their physical and mental activities are directed toward offering enjoyment to Lord Krishna. But it's not like they're not experiencing anything. They're experiencing love of Krishna. They're experiencing love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Okay, next verse. They renounced everything for Krishna. They have pure attachment to giving Krishna pleasure. They renounced everything, even their own desire to enjoy sense gratification. They've even renounced that. They've renounced everything. They have pure attachment to giving Krishna pleasure. And that is the highest pleasure. Hare Krishna. 176. This is from Bhagavatam. It was spoken by Krishna when he returned to the Rasa Leela, 10th canto. He says, "O my beloved gopis, you have renounced social customs, scriptural injunctions, and your relatives for my sake. I disappeared behind you only to increase your concentration upon me. Since I disappeared for your benefit, you should not be displeased with me. What a rascal, huh? What a rascal! What a rascal! I left you so you would want me more. What a rascal! Read that again. Oh, my beloved gopis, you have renounced social customs, scriptural injunctions, and your relatives for my sake. I disappeared behind you only to increase your concentration upon me. Since I disappeared for your benefit, you should not be displeased with me. Oh, Krishna. Text 177. Lord Krishna had a promise from before to reciprocate with his devotees according to the way they worship him. Okay. Lord Krishna has a promise from before to reciprocate with his devotees according to the way they worship him. (178). In whatever way my devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Yeah, you know, the reason I said what I said a little while ago was, and this was the way I was thinking, is that we don't become gopis. The gopis already exist, they're expanded from Radharani. Is because our category is Jiva Tattva. We're not Shakti Tattva, we're Jiva Tattva. So we don't become anything other than Jiva Tattva. It's just that we take on the qualities of who we associate. If we associate with the illusory energy, we take on that illusory form. And if we associate with Shakti Tattva and Vishnu Tattva, then we take on the spiritual qualities, those qualities. But we're different in that sense because Radharani never falls down and the gopis, they never fall down. So we're a little different category. That's why I said that. But we become so much like the gopis that we're actually like a gopi. You know, it's not going to be, you know, like that difference will be there. We will take on all those same qualities and be just as good as the gopi. It's like the spiritual master is as good as Krishna. Anyway, I'm just trying to understand these things. Krishna. Ah! Krishna. Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. But understand them not just mentally, but to relish whatever understanding the Lord allows me. If there's a taste there, if it tastes good, then probably on the right path. If it has some taste, if it doesn't have any taste, it's all dry and everything, you know, it's just all up in the mind. And it really doesn't have much value. But if there's taste, there's a little bit of an aha on the end of it, then like, wow, you know, sometimes there's a lot of aha on the end of it. It has to be a little aha, you know, a little bit of that in there, in looking at these things. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, otherwise it doesn't have any value. So that was quoting that verse from the Gita, 4:11. In whatever way my devotee surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Now that's another indication of the problem of fault finding. Krishna says, everyone follows my path in all respects. In whatever way my devotee surrenders unto me. Everyone is actually a devotee of Krishna's summer and forgetfulness. So they are serving indirectly through the illusory energy and modes of material nature. It's indirect service. And Maya is in charge of that realm. Okay, but it's not like they're not devotees. And it's not like they're not serving. They are. It's just indirect, without consciousness of Krishna. So they get rewarded accordingly. And then there are the devotees that are engaged in serving Krishna in love and devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, who are on the path of returning back to that environment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And Krishna says, everyone follows my path in all respects. So to find fault with anyone is going to cause a problem in actually being Krishna conscious. Because everyone is serving Krishna. It doesn't mean, being able to recognize how someone's serving Krishna. Are they serving Krishna in the illusory energy indirectly? You have to be able to recognize that. That's not finding fault. That's seeing things as they are. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The fault finding comes when someone wants to elevate themselves above someone else. They will find fault with the other party so that they themselves can appear better. That was Ramachandra Puri's problem. He found fault with Lord Chaitanya because Ramachandra Puri was attached to the impersonal Brahman. He thought that was the highest path. So he would find fault with Lord Chaitanya even though there was no fault. Oh, he's eating too many sweets, even though he wasn't. But even if he was eating a lot of sweets, so what? It's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he would find fault so that he could keep his superior position on his path of Brahman. And this is the fault finding. I'm able to elevate myself. I am better than someone else. My path is more the path. Or basically, I am the spiritual master. Listen to me. I see a lot of that here. So I recognize it, but I don't find fault. I actually think it's quite funny. Yeah, I try to, if I can make a little breakthrough here or there, to relieve of that false ego, I try. But, it's pretty well entrenched in a lot of the devotees that I see. Well entrenched. Hare Krishna, it's interesting. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Pray, Lord Krishna, please don't let me fall into that trap. Please, I pray. Actually, the few times that I have, it didn't work out real well. I did like a big nosedive, or actually it was a big belly flop. You see somebody that posed to dive, and then whoops, belly flop. There's kind of a few times I fell victim to that, thinking that I was actually empowered to be a spiritual master. I was like, oh boy. Yeah, it didn't work out real well. Krishna. All right, so in whatever way my devotee surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Prabhupada's purport. Krishna was never ungrateful to the gopis. For as he declares to Arjuna in this verse from the Bhagavad Gita 4:11, he reciprocates with his devotees in proportion to the transcendental loving service they render unto him. Everyone follows the path that leads toward him, but there are different degrees of progress on that path, and the Lord is realized in proportion to one's advancement. The path is one, but the progress in approaching the ultimate goal is different, and therefore the proportion of realization of the goal, namely the absolute personality of Godhead, is also different. The gopis attained the highest goal, and Lord Chaitanya affirmed there is no higher method of worshiping God than that followed by the gopis. What were the gopis doing? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Their mood of service was that the Lord's feet were so tender and soft that they were concerned that they might get pricked or stuck by the sharp objects on the forest floor. And they would take the lotus feet of the Lord and place them on their breasts. Hare Krishna, is the mood of the gopis. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Man, those are the same feet that danced on Kaliya's hoods, you know. Whoa, Krishna. 179. That promise has been broken by the worship of the gopis, as Lord Krishna himself admits. Okay, so we're going to see how this promise to reciprocate with the devotee as they surrender is going to be broken by Krishna. He says, yeah, here it is. This is from the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, when he returned to the gopis after hearing their songs of separation. Krishna says, O gopis, I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service. Even within a lifetime of Brahma, your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. This is the personality of Godhead speaking. This is all part of his personality. You can't just worship one part of his personality, you worship all of his personality, and this is another part of his personality. And he's speaking like this. This is Krishna. You know, he did a similar thing with Rukmini. He kind of tormented her one day. He played a trick. He said they'd been husband and wife, or king and queen, for forever, practically speaking. Well, you know, a long time. And she had grown-up sons and everything. And Krishna, he started speaking like, you know, it's really a shame you married me because you could have done much better. You know, what's my background? I don't have much of a background, and you know, I'm not all that great. You know, you could have married some of these other royalties. You would have done much better than me. He's speaking like that, and Rukmini's taking it seriously because it's the personality of Godhead. It's part of his personality to play like that. She actually became unconscious. She thought Krishna was getting ready. He told her, "You're free now. You can. I'll leave, and you can choose somebody. I'm going to leave." And she's like, she collapsed, unconscious. What? I mean, it was inconceivable to her. And then he wanted to see her become angry and say, "Where are you going? Why are you talking like that?" But she didn't do that. She just collapsed. So this is the personality of Godhead. He acts in different ways. He speaks in different ways. It's not who we think he is, it's who he is. And we have descriptions of his behavior, his moods, what he does. And, you know, if you love him, you have to love all of them. So here, this is what he's saying to them. This is the personality of Godhead. Part of his personality is he speaks like this. And he says, "Oh, gopis, I'm not able to repay you, to repay my debt for your spotless service, even when in a lifetime of Brahma. Your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties, which are difficult to break. Please, therefore, let your own glorious deeds be your compensation." "I can't give you anything. What do you want? I can't give you anything." They didn't want anything. They just wanted to love Krishna. And this is part of Krishna, and they loved it, even this. They couldn't stop loving Krishna, even though he's saying, "I can't give you anything. I can't reciprocate with you." And he said, "It doesn't matter. We love you anyway." We can't stop loving you. Ah, Krishna. They were just happy that he was back and speaking to them, because he had disappeared completely for a while. Ah, Hare Krishna. Text 181. Now, this is Krishnadas Kaviraj speaking. "Now, whatever affection we see the gopis show in their own bodies, know it for certain to be only for the sake of Lord Krishna." Whatever affection we see the gopis show in their own bodies, know for certain to be only for the sake of Lord Krishna. What are the symptoms of love of Godhead they were manifesting in their own bodies? It was not for sense gratification. It was for the sake of Lord Krishna. Purport. The selfless love of Godhead, okay, here's that word, that's a trigger word, selfless. The selfless love of Godhead exhibited by the gopis cannot have any parallel. Prabhupada's purport. We should not therefore misunderstand the carefulness of the gopis in their personal decoration. Oh, okay. He's talking about how they dress. So, the gopis dressed themselves as beautifully as possible just to make Krishna happy by seeing them. They had no ulterior desires. They dedicated their bodies and everything they possessed to the service of Sri Krishna, taking for granted that his bodies were meant for his enjoyment. They dressed themselves on the understanding that Krishna would be happy by seeing and touching them. Okay, so this is an external explanation. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But we know that the devotee is decorated in different ways. He's decorated by tears. He's decorated by shivering. Decorated by laughter. He has other decorations also. But here Prabhupada is describing the appearance. But if you consider, sometimes it may say here the gopis dress themselves as beautifully as possible, like the deities, decorating the deities. But we know from the 10th canto that the gopis were not dressed particularly well when they went to meet Krishna, because in their ecstatic enthusiasm, overwhelming ecstasy that was building in them, they put their clothes on wrong. The top was on the bottom and the bottom was on the top, and they didn't get their eye makeup quite right. So they actually might have looked quite a sight. They might have looked quite frightful. They might have looked a little unusual. Hare Krishna. So this is an interesting purport. But Prabhupada does qualify it by saying that Krishna would be happy by seeing and touching them. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Okay, text 182. Gopis think, I have offered this body to Lord Krishna. He is its owner, and it brings him enjoyment. We see that with Sanatana Goswami also. At one point, his body was covered with sores. He had contracted some kind of a disease, and he had sores on his body, and they were oozing. And he was thinking, in this condition, I don't even want to go near the Lord. I don't want to go near anyone. I feel so contaminated and dirty. What kind of service can I possibly do in this condition? And he was considering destroying his own body because he couldn't do any service with a body in that condition, disease. It was pus running and the smells, bad smells coming out of the sores. He had some kind of he contacted something. And Krishna said, no, you can't take that body. It belongs to me. That body belongs to me. You can't do that. And I have service for that body to do. And he did get over the disease. He didn't kill himself, but he was thinking like that. So here the gopis say, I have offered this body to Lord Krishna. He is the owner, and it brings him enjoyment. Hare Krishna. Krishna finds joy in seeing and touching this body. It is for this reason that they cleanse and decorate their bodies. Krishna finds joy in seeing and touching this body. It is for this reason that they cleanse and decorate their bodies. Inside and outside. So this is the outside cleansing. The inside cleansing is the chanting of the holy name and hearing that cleanses inside. It's like Lord Chaitanya cleansing the Gandicha temple was cleansing the heart. So when the heart is clean, Krishna enjoys his relating to the devotee there within the heart. When the heart is clean and decorated with the different love, loving sentiments. 184. Arjuna, O Arjuna, this is from the Adi Purana, spoken by Lord Krishna, he says, O Arjuna, there are no greater receptacles of deep love for me than the gopis, who cleanse and decorate their bodies because they consider them mine. This is not just some external cleansing, or you take a bath. We know that someone who goes to a sacred place just to take a bath in the river is compared to an animal, like an elephant or a hippopotamus or something. So it's not just this external bathing. It's bathing in the Spirit, or cleansed by the Spirit of love of God. We have that with the teachings of Christ also, how they were bathed in the baptism from John in the water and cleansed for the Lord's pleasure. But then they were cleansed by the fire of the Spirit of love of God. That was another type of cleansing. So they cleansed. So Arjuna, there are no greater receptacles of love for me than the gopis, who cleanse and decorate their bodies inside and outside because they consider them mine. Okay. Krishna. Text 185. This is Krishnadas Kaviraj speaking. There is another wonderful feature of the emotion of the gopis. Its power is beyond comprehension of the intelligence. Okay, so we're going to hear about a feature of the emotion of the gopis, which don't try to understand it with your mind or even your intelligence. Just hear it, is basically what he's saying. Just try to hear this and relish it, and don't worry about, trying to understand it with your mind or even your intelligence. Here we go. Uh-oh. It's a zinger for sure. It's a zinger. Here it comes. Hare Krishna. Oh no. Text 186. When the gopis see Lord Krishna, they derive unbounded bliss, although they have no desire for such pleasure. Yeah. Yeah. They're seeing Krishna. Everything is for Krishna's pleasure, but what happens is they experience the most incredible bliss. So it's like there's no need for any extra endeavor. What am I going to get out of this? It just doesn't work like that. It's not a deal, you know. It's not a business deal. If I do this, if I scratch your back and you scratch my back, it's not like that. Actually, even, you know, my father was like a really sweet person. He was a real sweet soul. And he would say something. He was talking about his own marriage. Okay? Now my father, he was a meat eater. He had to have meat 3 times a day at every meal, okay? He lived to be 98, and he ate meat every day, 3 times a day at least, and then also in between on snacks, okay? So that's where that is. But he had a lot of integrity spiritually, believe it or not, even though, you know, he came from that class of person. He in his marriage with my mother, they were together through everything, through thick and thin. Their favorite song was, you know, maybe we're ragged and funny, maybe we have no money, but we'll travel along singing our song side by side. You know, it was an old song, I guess from the 40s or something, during World War II. Anyway, they were very close, and they went through everything together. Everything, absolutely everything, together. And he would say to me sometimes, he'd say, you know, marriage isn't 50-50. It's 100% and 100%. So that's what is going on here with the gopis. It's not a deal, 50-50, you know, make a deal. If I do this for you, Krishna, what am I going to get? No, it's 100%. 100% at least. If there was more to percent than 100, it would be, you know, 500,000 million percent. But it's 100%, everything for Krishna. And what is it on Krishna's part? It's also 100%. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So they're giving 100% to Krishna. And what are they getting? 100% Krishna. Now that's a deal. That's a deal. When they go to see Lord Krishna, they derive unbounded bliss, although they have no desire for such pleasure. That's not why they're approaching Krishna. I'm thinking I could see that in my father and mother's marriage, that my father wasn't doing things for her because he wanted to enjoy. He was doing things for her because he wanted her to serve her. Seriously. I mean, totally 100%. Seriously. I mean, seriously. They had a lot of integrity. And she was the same way with him. And that's why it worked. It was like a competition, you know. Yeah. Interesting. It was a very wonderful marriage. I asked him, I said, you know, I would say, can you help me with something in life? I'm very confused. And they said, no, you just have to figure it out yourself, which didn't help much. That meant I had to look under every rock, you know, behind every door with all kinds of skeletons and closets, and I couldn't find it. Please help me. And we can't. We don't know how. Because they couldn't explain it. They were too absorbed in it to be able to explain it. You know. Oh my goodness. Okay, text 187. The gopis taste a pleasure 10 million times greater than the pleasure of Lord Krishna derives from seeing them. Wow. See, that's why Lord Krishna wants to come in the mood of Radharani, which is the topmost gopi, because he knows what he experiences seeing them, and it's wonderful, boy. You know, it's wonderful. He enjoys great pleasure in seeing them and in touching them. He likes to touch the bodies of the gopis. It's very pleasurable. But he's saying that he sees that they're deriving a pleasure 10 million times more from seeing me. Hey, wait a minute. I'm the supreme enjoyer. I want to enjoy that. Purport. The wonderful characteristics of the gopis are beyond imagination. They have no desire for personal satisfaction. Yet, when Krishna is happy by seeing them, that happiness of Krishna makes the gopis 1,000,000 times more happy than Krishna himself. Okay, now this is Prabhupada's purport. He's alone in his room, it's late at night, and he's writing all these things. Everybody's asleep, all the management and all the, interviews and all the airplane rides and all the ringing of bells. It's all quiet. Everyone's asleep. It's like, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. It's very quiet, maybe even earlier, maybe 1 or 2. And this is where Prabhupada is at, when he's alone in his room with Krishna. This is what he's writing. He's saying, the wonderful characteristics of the gopis are beyond imagination. They have no desire for personal gratification, satisfaction. Yet, when they see Krishna is happy by seeing them, that happiness of Krishna makes the gopis 1,000,000 times more happy than Krishna himself. Seeing Krishna happy makes them happy. They don't even care about their own happiness. Just seeing Krishna happy makes them happy. Hare Krishna. Even more happy than Krishna. And then Krishna sees, wow, they're even more blissful than I am. I want to know what they're experiencing. Text 188. The gopis have no inclination for their own enjoyment, and yet their joy increases. That is indeed a contradiction. They have no inclination for their own enjoyment. And yet their joy increases. Oh my God. That is indeed a contradiction. Just try to surrender to Krishna and see what happens. Woo! 189. For this contradiction, this is Krishna Das Kaviraj. For this contradiction, I see only one solution. The joy of the gopis lies in the joy of their beloved Krishna. Ah, yeah. That's the Christian teaching of Christ, it's better to give than to receive. He's not talking about, money and clothes and food and all that, necessarily. I mean, that's on the external platform. But it's better to give love. Because in giving love, automatically get love. It's a little secret. And we see it here in its full perfection of the gopis. They're approaching Krishna not to get something, but to give something. They want to love Krishna. They want him to be happy and feel happy and ecstasy, and they want him to see him blissful and enjoying himself. And what happens? Their joy is 10 million times more in seeing Krishna joyful. What a mystery, huh? But that is the personality of Godhead. That's part of his personality. He's like that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So it's a little purport here. Prabhupada says, late at night in his room. The situation of the gopis is perplexing, for although they did not want personal happiness, it was imposed upon them. Yeah. They weren't desiring their own personal pleasure. They didn't go there desiring that. Hare Krishna. But it was forced on them. Krishna forced it on them. The solution to this perplexity is that Sri Krishna's sense of happiness is limited by the happiness of the gopis. Whoa, okay, so there's the other side of the equation. Krishna's happiness depends on seeing the gopis happy. There's your 100% in the union. Krishna doesn't want to enjoy without seeing the gopis enjoy. It says here, he is limited by the happiness of the gopis. So he becomes happy when the gopis are happy. And the gopis become happy when Krishna is happy. And then everyone's happy. And the happiness just increases. And it's more than just happy. It's ecstatic. Devotees at Vrindavan, therefore, tried to serve the gopis, namely Radharani and her associates. Okay, so that really makes Krishna happy, when he sees Radharani and the associates happy. And that actually, Krishna's pleasure actually increased, more so than trying to just make him happy, if you're not a gopi. If one gains the favor of the gopis, he easily gains the favor of Krishna. Because on the recommendation of the gopis, Krishna at once accepts the service of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya therefore wanted to please the gopis instead of Krishna. But his contemporaries misunderstood him, and for this reason Lord Chaitanya renounced the order of household life and became a sannyasi. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. On the recommendation of the gopis, Krishna at once accepts the service of a devotee. So he's appearing as a sannyasi serving Radharani. Yeah. That's interesting. In order to experience what Radharani experiences, he would have to... Well, it's very complicated and intricate, all these emotional energies. But there's something else here. Looking at this sentence, Krishna accepts the service of a devotee. Okay, there's different ways to see these sentences. It doesn't say accepts the service as a devotee. He says accepts the service of a devotee. Interesting. Lord Chaitanya therefore wanted to please the gopis. See, this is instead of Krishna. Now, previously, Krishnadas Kaviraj said only Swarup Damodar understands the intricacies of all of this, because he was the most intimate associate of Krishna, being an incarnation of either Vishaka or Lalita, which means sent by Radha to help Krishna enter into this mood, to be treated like he was a gopi. He was Radharani. But he can't feel pleasure without Radharani feeling pleasure. So just by appearing as Srimati Radharani, he's not going to, Radharani has to be pleased and feel pleasure by seeing him do this. Then Krishna can actually experience what he wants to experience, but he can't experience it without Radharani. Interesting stuff, man. Wow. You know, the affairs of loving exchange are unlimited, and there's unlimited variety and activities on the platform of, in the ocean of ecstatic, loving exchange. So this is very interesting. Hare Krishna. I'm like, Krishna's enjoying. How is Krishna enjoying? And you want to see Krishna? Radharani. Hare Krishna. Okay, if one gains the favor of the gopis, this is Prabhupada. If one gains the favor of the gopis, he easily gains the favor of Krishna. Okay. Because on the recommendation of the gopis, Krishna at once accepts the service of a devotee. Oh, okay, Krishna accepts a devotee. Krishna is not accepting. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, right. If one gains the favor of the gopis, he easily gains the favor of Krishna, because on the recommendation of the gopis, Krishna at once accepts the service of the devotee. Yeah, Radharani or the gopis will recommend someone to Krishna if they're pleased with their service. Okay. Lord Chaitanya, therefore, wanted to please the gopis instead of Krishna. Yeah. He wanted to serve Radharani instead of Krishna. Wanted to please the gopis. Yeah. Instead of Krishna. So that he would be recommended to Krishna. Because this is what happens with devotees. Yeah. But his contemporaries misunderstood him, and for this reason Lord Chaitanya renounced the order, household life, and became a sannyasi. Okay. Hare Krishna. All right. Working overtime on this. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Maybe it'll clear up. We'll go some more verses here. Text 190. When Lord Krishna sees the gopis, his joy increases, and his unparalleled sweetness increases also. So this is when he's Krishna, in Krishna Lila. He sees the gopi, his joy increases, and his unparalleled sweetness also increases. So you know that makes the gopis happy to see him more joyful. The gopis think, Krishna has obtained so much pleasure by seeing me. That thought increases the fullness and beauty of their faces and body. Okay, so they're going back and forth. He's seeing them, and he's becoming more happy, and when they see that he's happy, they're becoming more happy, and becoming more bright and beautiful, and then he sees they're even more bright and beautiful, and then he becomes even more happy, so it's like that. The beauty of Lord Krishna increases at the sight of the beauty of the gopis, and the more the gopis see Lord Krishna's beauty, the more their beauty increases. In this way, a competition takes place between them, in which no one acknowledges defeat. It just keeps increasing. Hare Krishna. Spiritual competition, no one is defeated. Krishna, however, derives pleasure from the beauty and good qualities of the gopis. And when the gopis see his pleasure, the joy of the gopis increases. Yeah, they're not envious. You know, it's like, I want what you have, therefore you shouldn't have it because I want it. It's not like that. Nobody feels deficient. Everyone is feeling more and more blissful. Wow, look at that. And then when Krishna sees the gopis relishing that then he gets more, and then they get more, and then it goes on and on. 195. Therefore we find that the joy of the gopis nourishes the joy of Lord Krishna. For that reason, the fault of lust is not present in their love. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They say that the love of a mother for her child is the closest thing to pure spiritual love. And I'm looking at this word, nourishes. See? Therefore we find that the joy of the gopis nourishes the joy of Lord Krishna. So a mother and her infant, she's nourishing him in so many ways, caring for him and nourishing him, and feeding him her own breast milk, nourishing him, and has all good desires for her child to grow big and strong and be successful and beautiful and handsome and all the opulences and blah, 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 be really happy, etc. Nourishes, flourish and nourish. So that word is used here. And so there's no lust there, the mother lusting after the child. Not usually. I mean, it's Kali Yuga, all kinds of weird things go on, but not usually. The mother is not lusting after an infant, not usually. Krishna. In some species, they eat the babies, like rats, I think. If they have a baby, then you have to, sometimes they'll eat the baby. So, but we're not talking about rats here. Hare Krishna. Okay, whatever. So, see, for that reason, the fault of lust is not present in their love, because they have this attitude that their joy is nourishing Krishna, increasing his pleasure and his joy. It acts as nourishment. And that's what they want to do. They want to see him more and more blissful. So there's no lust. Purport: by looking at the beautiful gopis, Krishna becomes enlivened, and this enlivens the gopis. This is Prabhupada, late at night in his room, whose youthful faces and bodies blossom. So everybody's blossoming and growing and flourishing. This competition of increasing beauty between the gopis and Krishna, which is without limitations, is so delicate that sometimes mundane moralists mistake these dealings to be purely amorous. But these affairs are not at all mundane, because the gopis' intense desire to satisfy Krishna surcharges the entire scene with pure love of Godhead, with not a spot of sexual indulgence. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Pure love of Godhead, with not a spot of sexual indulgence. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Only possible with Krishna, my friends. That's why it's really imperative to take shelter of Krishna, because it's not possible without Krishna. Without the personality of Godhead, it's not possible. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Text 196. This is from the Keshavastaka of the Stavamala, Rupa Goswami, 196. I worship Lord Keshava. Coming back from the forest of Raj, he is worshipped by the gopis, who mount the roofs of their palaces and meet him on the path with 100 manners of dancing glances, and gentle smiles. The corner of his eyes wander like large black bees around the gopis' breasts. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Here we are back with this nourishing. You know, the breasts they're nourishing. You know, it's the mother and the child. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare, without a tinge of mundane sex desire. And work on that one for a while. The only way to understand it is to enter into some experience of it, and that's done in the association of devotees who are like gold, stable in their relationship of ecstatic worship of the Lord. And that's why take advantage of hearing from Srila Gaurahari Das while we have it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, translation. Stavamala, Rupa Goswami. I worship Lord Keshava. Coming back from the forest of Raj, he is worshipped by the gopis, who mount the roofs of their palaces and meet him on the path with 100 manners of dancing glances and gentle smiles. The corners of his eyes wander like large black bees around the gopi's breasts. Hey, Krishna. Krishna! Okay, text 197. There is another, this is Krishnadas Kaviraj. There is another natural symptom of the gopis' love that shows it to be without a trace of lust. The love of the gopis nourishes the sweetness of Lord Krishna. That sweetness in turn increases their love, for they are greatly satisfied. The love of the gopis nourishes the sweetness of Lord Krishna. That sweetness in turn increases their love, for they are greatly satisfied. This is that thing about watering the root of the tree. Everyone flourishes because Krishna is the source of everyone and everything. And when Krishna is happy like this, everyone flourishes. So the gopis, they're doing their thing. They're watering the root of the tree. And what happens is all the leaves and branches, everyone is getting that nourishment. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The happiness of the abode of love is in the happiness of the object of that love. This is not a relationship of desire for personal gratification. There's the secret. There's the 100%, 100%. When there's two, there's the lover and the object of the love. It's not a business deal. It's the happiness of the lover is in seeing the happiness of the object of that love. That's the 100%, 100%. And if the object of the love just happens to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the one who is loving Krishna experiences a loving relationship with Krishna automatically. Hare Krishna. Govinda, text 200 and 201. Might have to stop pretty soon. Krishna. This is Krishnadas Kaviraj again, and there's a small purport by Prabhupada. So Krishnadas Kaviraj says, whenever there is unselfish love, that is its style. The reservoir of love derives pleasure when the lovable object is pleased. When the pleasure of love interferes with the service of Lord Krishna, the devotee becomes angry towards such ecstasy. Okay, there's an example in Nectar Devotion, Daruka. This is in Dwarka, the Dwarka pastime. Daruka was fanning. The Lord was sitting on a high seat in his Vishnu form in Dwarka. And Daruka's service was to fan the Lord. But sometimes he would be feeling tears of ecstasy. And they would get in the way. He couldn't fan because he couldn't see. There were tears in his eyes. So he would curse that. He's getting in the way of my serving the Lord, this ecstasy. I don't want it. I want to serve Krishna. I don't want to be feeling all these things. So that's one example. Hare Krishna, Hare. The devotee becomes angry towards such ecstasy. Angry. We see Radharani a lot of times, descriptions of her angry mood. She gets angry. Purport. As mentioned above, the gopis are the predominated lovers, and Sri Krishna is the predominator, the beloved. The love of the predominated nourishes the love of the predominator. The gopis had no desire for selfish enjoyment. Their feeling of happiness was indirect, for it was dependent on the pleasure of Krishna. Causeless love of Godhead is always so. Such pure love is possible only when the predominated is made happy by the happiness of the predominator. Such unadulterated love is exemplified when the lover deprecates her happiness in service that hinders her from discharging it. Well, we read earlier that when the gopis please Krishna, they have no desire for their own sense grad, they just want to see Krishna happy. And Krishna forces on them this pleasurable experience of his love for them. He forces it on them. So, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Pure love is possible only when the predominated is made happy by the happiness of the predominator. When the lover is made happy by the object of love, seeing the object of love happy. That's pure love. So that's like they say mother and child. The mother is happy to see the child happy and nourished and strong. Such unadulterated love is exemplified when the lover deprecates her happiness in service that hinders her from discharging it. All right, so it's not that, they don't want to feel any happiness at all and they just go out and beat themselves over the head with hammers or something. It's only if it gets in the way of her service to the one she loves. If it gets in the way, she doesn't want it. Because it doesn't make her happy. Hare Krishna. She can't make Krishna happy because it makes her unhappy. The happiness makes her unhappy because she can't make Krishna happy if she's all caught up in her own idea of happiness. So she doesn't want it. Interesting. Hare Krishna. Oh my God. Am I right on or what? Am I right on or what? Am I right on or what? The very next verse is about Daruka. We're just talking about Daruka. Oh, Krishna. This is from Nectar Devotion. Oh, Krishna. Okay, Krishna Das Kaviraj uses this as an example. It's from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is Nectar Devotion. Sri Daruka did not relish his ecstatic feelings of love, for they caused his limbs to become stunned, and thus obstructed his service of fanning Lord Krishna. Wow. Hare Krishna. I must be on the right track. I must be. Dang. All right. All right. This is a verse from Nectar Devotion also. The lotus-eyed Radharani powerfully condemned the ecstatic love that caused the flow of tears that hindered her sight of Govinda. Yeah, you become so absorbed in your own feelings and emotions. And where does Krishna go, right? Text 204, this is Krishna Das Kaviraj. Furthermore, pure devotees never forsake the loving service of Lord Krishna to aspire for their own personal pleasure through the 5 kinds of liberation. I'm wondering if this is a good place to stop. Yeah, let's stop here. And Hare Krishna. Govinda. Let me see who's here. Hey. Hare Krishna. Okay, Janaki was here, but she had to go, so she said she's going to watch later. And Jan was here. Hello, anybody else? Oh, Stephen was here. I didn't see. I was like off on my own tangent here. He says, Nita Devi, message are rich, profound, if they acknowledge, speak directly to the soul. Thank you. Thank you for kind words. Thank you. Hare Krishna. And John says, I'm like a baby in spirit. Yeah, thanks. Really nice supportive words. And Johan, hey, he says, we're seeing the dark side of Nina. Before I was talking about the mentality of a serial killer. Oh, and Sachi. Sachi, you're dangerous. I'm glad I didn't see this message. She says, can you explain how you got on that serial killer? What made you think like that? Let me think about that. Let me think about that. Don't worry, it wasn't you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Sachi doesn't miss much. I mean, she's right on everything. I better get ready for her visit. She's going to be here. I better. Yeah, Krishna.